leading the charge to make the 2024 Broker Carrier Summit possible, and we are so excited to have their support. In case you haven't heard, TAFS offers much more than freight factoring. It provides a comprehensive support system for trucking companies of all sizes, specializing in fast and efficient invoice factoring with the ability to pay carriers in as little as 1 hour. And TAFS services go well beyond factoring, offering a fuel card that unlocks major fuel discounts, flexible business loans that are designed to cater to the distinct needs of a carrier's operations, a dedicated, responsive client experience team, and much more. Blackbox Logistics is a 3PL freight brokerage based out of Birmingham, Alabama. Blackbox Logistics was formed in 2020 by 3 friends, Logan Dyer, William Graves, and Will Hopkins, in a basement office with the goal of bringing transparency around the clock communication and hassle-free customer experience to the table. LoadBase is a logistics software solution that simplifies the process of tracking carriers. Multi-service fuel card, the industry's first fuel card, was created by an over-the-road truck driver in 1978 to offer a safe, simple, and cost-effective way to handle fuel and trucking expenses. Initially, it addressed safety concerns of carrying cash on the road. Today, it combats advanced fraud with best-in-class technical and personal support. Sales-CRM is built for freight broker and agent sales teams. Manage your shipper prospecting and follow-ups. Organize your carriers in the lanes they run. HD Ships is a leading logistics provider specializing in sustainable and tech-driven freight solutions. With hubs in Reno, Phoenix, and London, we deliver comprehensive services, including full truckload, expedited cross-border, and intermodal freight. Leveraging proprietary technology, we offer 24/7 tracking, real-time visibility, and advanced automation to ensure safe, compliant, and efficient transportation. Our commitment to sustainability enables clients to offset emissions through carbon credits, aligning logistics with environmental goals. At HD Ships, we prioritize transparency, reliability, and exceptional customer service, empowering clients to achieve seamless, sustainable logistics solutions worldwide.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How's your week been going?
Good, man. Week's flying by. Hard to believe we're at Friday afternoon again. Well, I know we got John and Jayme itching at the bit here backstage. We had to tell them to wait on some topics till we went live. So let's get into it. Shout out Multi-Service Fuel Card. Been around since 1978. Great product. They're sponsoring the road tour for BCS, I believe. Has some new updates coming. Check out their page, Blackbox Logistics, Will's company, HD Ships, where I recruit agents for. Load base. I actually saw just a great post by Stan, of customer testimonial from them. Great tracking product. Will's checked out their demo, thinks it's fantastic. Sales Dash, freight specific CRM. Several of our agents use it. Josh's company uses it. Trio, they do our back end, nearshoring company. And then TAFS, top 10 factoring company. Ryan and Rob, great guys, great rates, Kansas City based company. If you're looking for factoring, definitely check them out.
Yeah, great group there. Well, man, we might as well just get right into it. I'm sure everybody wants to hear these guys talk. And then, like you said, they were going at it backstage. So go ahead and bring Jayme and John on the stage. Hey guys, how are we doing?
Happy Friday.
What's up, y'all?
Hey guys.
How you guys doing?
I'm just trying to make a living, watching everybody else having fun.
You're still trying to get a load, right?
Yeah, I can't get damn John's company to answer their damn phone. I've been trying to book a load with them for the last 4 hours. I've done called about 30 times. Here's the crazy thing about it. The crazy thing is, I put it on LinkedIn. They haven't reached out to me, but wait a minute. A dispatcher reached out to me and said, "Oh, I got him on the phone right now. You want me to book the load?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And then I give him my number. He calls me. He says, "Oh, yeah, I got through to him. But American carrier, this guy was out of Pakistan. An American carrier can't get through to him, but a Pakistan can? A dispatcher? Come on, man. What's up with that, John? What's going on with your company? You need to fire them.
Hey,
They're
they
fired.
all
They're
can't
done.
they all can't be like me, bud. I'm sorry.
They're fired,
They're
bro.
independent
They're
agents, Jayme.
Right.
He works for LDI, so they're all independent.
So, and it's funny, this is the second call that I've actually received. I had another guy call me that I do business with. He said he was trying to book a load out of North Carolina going to Tennessee. He said, I've been buzzing them all day and nobody's answering. So it's actually the second time I've heard that today.
Well, LDI, y'all need to put John over y'all's company because he's the only damn one of y'all that'll answer the phone. John for president of LDI, man. Let's go, y'all.
Hey, how much does that pay?
See, you guys want to bring up your conversation pre-stage? So, John, you were saying you sold a MC earlier this week.
Yes. Yeah, I brokered a deal. So I had a gentleman who worked for a very large brokerage, and he grew it. And he said, I'm actually having lunch with him week after next because next week I'm in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. But he grew a very large brokerage in Chattanooga to about 500 million. Set out his non-compete, non-solicit. He started his own brokerage. Well, he needed a very good MC number. Well, I happen to have a buddy, a carrier, who happens to have a very good MC number. It's very clean. It's seasoned over 8 years. I always kept insurance and a bond on it. It's a brokerage MC. So I put both of those together. He bought it for 60 grand. I made a five grand cash referral fee out of it. So it worked out for everybody.
Some brokers making all the money. We're out here getting scammed, skimmed, and scammed. Damn it. So that was my question, John. Is that the next future double broker of America? I mean, we know what's going on. We see Facebook post groups jumping all over the place, buying and selling MCs. I mean, maybe
this
guy's legit, or they're going to be a double broker as well.
This guy's legit because the company that in Chattanooga is very legit. That he grew to a $500 million business. So the guy's legit, knows a lot of people, knows all the players, been around the game for 30 plus years.
I got my eye on him. Send me the information. I'm gonna watch him.
All right, I'm all over it.
So I got a shout out there, Jayme, too, just so nobody's confused.
Yeah, this is my these are some good friends of mine. They're really good people. BWS, Rob, Mr. Rob. I do promote for them. I'm not a paid promoter, but they've been really good to me. They're good folks. I had a long conversation with them yesterday. Another one that y'all promote, man, Multi-Service Fuel Card. Great people over there. I've met all the every one of them. Done Zoom calls with them, and they're I've been at the Broker Carrier Summit, the Texas Truck Show with them a couple times, and just so y'all know, they are sponsoring my way to the Broker Carrier Summit in Indy, so I will be there.
Awesome.
But they're excellent. They're great. They're great people, man, and I believe in what they're doing, and they've always been good to me. So hey, I give them a shout out every time I get a chance. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. That's a good segue.
Got my Noah hat on.
Love it. Will and I actually have codes for Broker Carrier Summit. We haven't launched it yet, but if you use the 2 Dogs code for your ticket, you can get a discount. So there's a little plug there.
Yeah,
Well,
number two.
the broker carrier summit last time, I didn't really get the whole experience. I was there the first day, got to hang out and meet some people. Met at Mr. Wingfield, and we put some differences behind us from the past, and we still communicate. I'm supposed to go in, trying to get in up to his studio to do a live podcast in studio in March. We haven't got it set up yet, but that's the plan in Chattanooga. Um, the broker carrier summit is very powerful. You meet a lot of people. I mean, you get to shake somebody's hand and look them in the eye, and that's irreplaceable. That's something that we don't get every day out here in the supply chain. We're working with people that we don't know, we don't trust, but it's a whole different ballgame when you get gut level and get face to face with people. I mean, me and Alex Lockie had some issues in the past, but we cleaned that up, and he's been doing a lot. But I got to put this out there. So Mr. Hopkins and HD Ships and Black Box. So every time I hear y'all's ad on here, man, it blows me away. And I hear about the positive aspects of transparency. So I'll be looking for the comments in support of transparency on the notice of proposed rulemaking for 49 CFR 371.3. It's open again.
I'm not the owner of HD. Will is the owner of Black Box, so maybe Will can answer their thoughts on broker transparency. But
yeah, we don't have an official stance on it. I mean, to be frank, I haven't looked into it too much beyond reading some things on my feed, so I'm not well enough informed on the matter to really give a take on it. Jayme, but how about you walk us through how you see it? Maybe I can get better informed on it.
Well, I mean, if y'all got, hopefully we have time. I'm going to try to pull it up. I'm going to let y'all listen live to a couple of phone calls between a broker, a chameleon carrier, to a scam broker that his authority was shut down in October. Nobody's had this information yet. I did send it to ABC. We're supposed to be doing something, but I'm going to give y'all the ground floor on it and let y'all listen to this if I can get it set up. And then it went to Landstar, to the final mile carrier. And it shows you exactly what we're dealing with out here and what's going on every day. We know what's happening. The only way this load was caught, that it was quadruple broker, because that's what it was. It went to chameleon carrier, to a broker whose authority was shut down last October, to Landstar, to the final mile carrier. They siphoned $600 off of the load before it got to the final mile carrier. The only reason it was caught was the receiver. The receiver was observant and went out there. It was a flatbed load of hay, and seen that the carrier's name on the side of the truck did not match the name that the original broker had put on their paperwork, the load that the truck was supposed to be booked for. And reached that back out to the broker, Miss Shandy, at a truck connection here in Fort Worth. And that's when she started reaching out to these people, making phone calls to find out what had happened with their load. And I've got it all. I've got the rate cons, every rate con. They say that that and Truck Stop both say that neither the chameleon carrier or the broker whose authority was revoked last October, neither one of them have access to DAT, load board, or Truck Stop. So to me personally, it looks like they're working in a partnership with these people, and the broker for agent for Landstar. What we found out when we dug in deeper was Landstar, this agent, is he don't even have his business anymore. So the business that he signed up with Landstar under his DBA or his LLC, which is required for you to be a franchise and free agent for Landstar, isn't even in business anymore. He shut it down over a year ago, went bankrupt or whatever, but this guy is still working for Landstar and double brokering freight. I'm going to let y'all listen to this. But I'm just going to take me a minute to get it set up. My stance on transparency, okay. Let me tell you my stance on transparency. It's more than about the rate. Okay. How many times a day does this exact thing happen and it's never caught because the carrier delivers the load was successful delivered, and nobody knows that the other two or three people was involved siphoning money off of it. So transparency would give us the ability as a carrier, not only a broker, but as a carrier to be able to get the paperwork, look at it and say, okay, well, who are these other 3 people involved in this transaction? And at that point, we can go to Freight Validate, which Dale Prax, I work with them. I talk to them. John Quintero, the double broker bounty hunter, and say, hey, what? Here's the proof. These people, let's take them out. Let's get them out of the industry. Let's get them done, get them gone. And then on the reverse side of that, what that's going to do, it's going to help the carriers that are getting money siphoned off, probably billions of hundreds of $1 million a year in the scam and the fraud. But it's going to help the good brokers as well, because once them people are gone out of the way, that leaves more freight for good brokers. That's my stance.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to backtrack, but as far as the one scenario that you had described with the hay, that's kind of odd to me that they were able to siphon off $600 of a hay load. A cheaper commodity, margins are usually pretty tight. At least when I think about the true double brokering, where they're actually going to pay the carrier, like the double broker in the sense, take a load for $3,000, sell it for $2,800, not to take the load for $3,000 and sell it for $5,000, then not actually pay the carrier. I think of cross country parcels, things where it might be easier to do, or consolidating freight. So it's interesting that they were able to do that with a.
Well, this was a load coming out of Hammer, Idaho, a load of hay coming to Fort Worth here, and the original broker, we spoke on the phone. I've got all the information. She put it up on the load board on that for $3,000. So when she booked it to the first carrier, the Chameleon carrier that has for $3,000. That carrier moved it over to a brokerage that authority was revoked in October for 26. Landstar says that they got 26 out of the load and then moved it to the final mile carrier for 24. So I've got all the rate cons and everything, except for from the Chameleon carrier to the broker. But what we found out was the guy that she was talking to from the Chameleon carrier, his name was Tregan. He's actually the owner of the brokerage that was the authority was revoked last October.
Wow.
Interesting.
Hear your thoughts on the broker transparency. You're pretty out there with, you'll show your numbers and you're pretty transparent in that sense. What are your thoughts and take on the broker transparency, what Jayme's describing?
Look, and again, I've said this probably. It don't make a difference. If I control the freight, and if you don't like the rate that I'm offering, then we'll just move on. I mean, I never lie to a carrier. I mean, I never say things like, this is all I've got in a load. I'll never say that. I'll say this is all I'm willing to pay for this load. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, hey, there's an ask for every seat, every load, and I'll find that guy. So for me. I mean, whether it happens, it doesn't happen. It's a moot point for me, because I don't think it's really going to change my business in any way, shape, or form.
Well said.
You guys were getting an interesting, not to change the subject, but I think we've talked about broker transparency probably on here with you guys a couple times. But you guys had an interesting discussion last night about truck parking. John, you were saying you're paying for the truck parking of some. I see Jayme laughing here that you're paying for the truck parking of carriers on your load.
So he actually called here, and I told him, I said, I just was poking the bear. I mean, I knew we were going to be on here, so I kind of poked the bear a little bit last night. But I mean, so it's just to me, parking is a cost of doing business. It's just plain and simple cost of doing business. Now, one of my clients has an over-the-road fleet, and they actually reimburse the drivers for the truck parking. Now, whether other carriers or maybe W-2 carriers, such as like a Land Air or a U.S. Express, whether they do or not, I'm assuming they probably do, because obviously they don't want their trucks on the side of the road, obviously being unsafe. And especially folks like that, those bigger carriers that kind of haul probably higher dollar commodities such as electronics, computers, etc. Right? They want to make sure that stuff stays safe. I don't know whether they do or not, but again, it's the cost of doing business. Just like I have a cost of doing business, trucks have cost of doing business, and I think that parking is all inclusive in the rate. That's just my thoughts on it.
So that cell phone and that computer is pretty expensive, then, huh?
Well, I do have a nice set up here.
Yeah, in your house? Is it in your home?
Well, two places, but
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is my home, and it's quite expensive. This semi truck and this trailer I'm pulling. My fuel's about $2,500 a week alone.
Hmm.
Insurance is about $500, $400 a week. Um, Probably cost me 70 or 80 bucks to survive, 60 bucks to survive a day out here, because anytime you stop at a truck stop, it's $20, $30 a pop. Even if you go in and get something off the roller grill, something cheap, something quick.
So
And I mean, we could talk about expenses all day long. I mean, your
Well,
ELD,
and
your
you
DAT
could.
load board,
So how do you? I mean, you could. I mean, I could manipulate that and make it sound better. I could break out charges on my rate con and put $1,000 for line haul, and then throw another. If it's a 1 day point, add another $20 for parking. I mean, I can do that. $20 is not gonna make or
Hey,
break me. But if it makes the carrier feel good, I don't mind doing that.
let me point something out to you. So if I'm the carrier and you give me an all-in rate, then I have to pay taxes on that all-in. But you break it down, you say it's $3 a mile, you give me $2.50 a mile, then I got to pay taxes on that. When you give me the 50 cent a mile fuel surcharge, you know what? I don't have to pay tax on that.
Hmm. Yeah, I
so
mean, I don't mind. But I actually have two. I have two carriers that I actually break out the fuel surcharge on when I tender. So it's not all in rate. I actually break out the fuel surcharge, but they actually tell me what to break the fuel surcharge out. And the reason why they do that is they pay percentage, so they don't have to pay the driver. They only pay the driver on the line haul. They don't have to pay the driver on the fuel surcharge.
And do you think that's right?
It's their business. I'm just giving.
Yeah.
It's their business. I can't tell them how to run their company.
It's another scam when a carrier tells you to break out a fuel surcharge so they don't have to pay the driver. I mean, a driver should be gross of the truck. So
But
any dime that
But they're a
comes to the
company,
truck goes to the
but
driver.
they are a company driver. They're a company driver, just paid percentage. So they break
It
out the
don't
fuel
matter
surcharge. Yeah.
if you're paid percentage. You run a percentage off the gross of the truck, not the net.
Hmm.
So do they not pay them accessorials, layover,
uh,
I,
detention?
I don't know the answer to that.
so
They probably don't.
I've had the opposite drivers where so not, I guess you could say playing devil's advocate, but we've had. I mean, it's been a little while. We used to have some owner operators calling, and they'd want. So we would sell all in rate. Say it's $1,200 with the loads, two stops and
Hmm.
SCARPs, and then they would say, "Hey, will you break it down?"
Say
Um,
hi to Texas Red, y'all.
Hey, Texas Red.
It's,
They say
it's,
we don't split payment on parts or the accessorial, so we broke it down for them, and I didn't think about it too much. Right? It was it's the same rate to me. Right? It was $1,200. If I would have sent it as 1,200 all in, or if I broke it down with 950 and then 100 whatever, break it down for them. So I didn't put too much thought into it. But would you consider that also kind of
I
like a
think it's a bad deal. Let me tell you how I've run. And I when I was running Faith Trucking for some years, running flatbed. So the way we done it is we paid 25% of the gross. We sent rate cons, had the broker, you send the rate con to the driver at the same time you sent the rate con to us. That way, the rate cons can't be doctored, because I've seen companies out here Photoshop rate cons,
hmm.
paying their drivers percentage and siphon money off of them. So the way I done it always, and Brad's getting paid. We just started with me day before yesterday. He's fixing to go into a truck for me. He's getting paid, and he'll get rate cons directly from the broker. There won't be no ifs, ands, or buts. What the truck is grossing, he'll get his percentage. When we was doing flatbed, tarps or things like that, and on the accessorials, detention and layover was on a percentage basis. But anything that was the driver done extra work, unloading the truck, tarping, that went 100% to the driver. We did not take a percentage of the work that they done, the actual manual labor they done. We did not take a percentage of it. That went 100% to the driver. And then they had their 25% on the line haul, or every dime the truck paid.
No, that makes sense. I guess I'm curious. I could see it be. I could see some people maybe take advantage of it. Is all I was getting at. So that makes sense to me the way that you have it split
The
and set up.
first percentage job I ever done, the first percentage job I ever agreed to, when I was green, I didn't realize what they was doing, but they was sending me rate cons. They was sending me rate cons, and I didn't realize until they photoshopped a tag. a tag and run me up into a secured port in Galveston with a bogus, fictitious tag. Then I realized what they was doing with the rate cons. They was photoshopping the rate cons. And after
So I
that,
know that
anytime I worked percentage, after that, I demanded that I get.
We lost you there for a second, Jayme.
Yeah, somebody's blowing my phone up. Probably a broker with
So
no load they get moved.
so I want to chime in here. So I've actually had that happen, especially in my early years of broker and freight. I actually had a couple carriers that said, don't ever, they said, we don't mind you calling the drivers, but don't ever discuss, but don't ever discuss the rates. And in one particular time I was moving some freight, and I was calling and talking to the driver because he was getting delayed a little bit. And I said, look, I said, I went ahead and paid your company $3,300 for this loads. I said, so, obviously it's a good payment. And he said, 3,300. And I said, yeah, that's what I paid him. He said, well, they're only paying me 2,700. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but the rate con says 3,300. And he had never seen a rate con. So he was a little ignorant, maybe just didn't have a lot of experience. So I sent it to him. So I got his email address and sent it to him. This happened on like a Saturday. Well, come Monday, his company called me and he was like, what are you doing sharing a rate con with the driver? I said, well, he's an owner operator. So obviously he's should be entitled to know what he's getting paid. Well, I talked to the guy, and come to find out on it. So they take 500 off the top, 600 off the top. And then of course he has to pay all his other owner operator expenses. And then he gets, 78% of the 2,700 instead of the 3,300. So, I mean, now, for me, we can say some of that's his fault by not asking questions, by not asking for a rate con, by not doing his due diligence as a truck driver and as a business owner to make sure that he's not being scammed or stolen from. But I do get it. So do companies, whether it be trucking companies, just like there are bad brokers, I think there are bad trucking companies that sell a bad set of goods. And that's why, when it comes to these lease purchases, they're typically never good for the driver. Like a CRST, I know they do the lease purchase. I mean, if a guy walks out of the truck tomorrow, they just put another guy in it the next day, so I don't know that that's very good business for the driver. So they're selling the dream of being your own owner operator, and you can see the world and you get to pick your loads. But at the end of the day, you're not making any more than you are if you were a company driver.
And you got the liability and the taxes to pay because you pay the taxes on the full amount of the truck. So
Sure.
I did get in one of them situations with Christensen Transportation out of Stratford, Missouri. Terrible company scam. They make you sign 2 contracts. The first contract is a lease purchase. The second contract says you won't sue them. So that tells you something right there. But the way they work that is they get these trucks on a pack lease, and they're able to get the truck, secure the truck because they have a driver. Okay. But once they get that driver in that truck, a lot of these companies, the goal is to push that driver out of the truck. That's making a little bit more than a company driver. And then they can take that truck and move it from the lease purchase division over to the carrier side and put a company driver in it, making 50 cents a mile.
Yeah. Pretty shitty.
Yeah, there's bad carriers, bro. I'm not just against bad brokers. I'm against bad carriers. I can't stand all the fraud and scam in the business, man. Factoring companies. I mean, we could go down a list, and everything that relates back to transportation, there's fraud and scam in, brother.
Mhm.
Not just the brokers, not just the carriers. Every damn thing. Mechanics, towing companies. I mean, we could sit here and talk all day about the different scams that go on in trucking that's not got anything to do with a carrier or a broker, but we all pay for it, right?
Sure. I mean, long story short, it's just like anything when there's money involved and you got an opportunity to, and the difference between stupidity and ignorance is the stupidity means you do something really stupid, but ignorance means it'd be kind of like touching a hot stove and you're a 2-year-old and you don't know it's hot. Right. So I think a lot of these, trucking companies, take advantage of drivers. It's that don't have that don't fully understand how this all works, and they trust a little too much.
Yeah, I'd agree. And then that's kind of my stance on it too. Say however you want it broken down, that's y'all's business, right? I'm not It's not. I'm not running your trucking company. Whatever you guys have going on is going on. We're just gonna book the load, make sure it gets picked up. But we're not here to, I don't know, do all that. So
Sure.
hopefully, yeah, people are watching what they're doing. Looks like we lost Jayme. Hopefully, he'll join back here shortly.
Maybe it was a broker calling with a hot load. I know he said his phone was
Hot
going.
load.
When are you guys going to book a load together, John? When are you and Jayme going to team up?
I don't have a lot of outbound Texas. I do a Waller, Texas to Lexington, and I do an Arlington, Texas to Lexington. One of these days we'll get it.
Yeah, that's his lanes. I think he runs. What does he run? South.
We don't
He
run
stays away from the West Coast and the Northeast and the Southeast. I feel like, not the Southeast. The Southeast and Midwest. I feel like, or Southern Midwest. He likes to run.
The last time that I talked with him, I think you need a sticker for Kentucky, and he didn't have a sticker for his truck for Kentucky, so he couldn't run in Kentucky.
You gonna break down the truck parking for him? If you do, here's back.
Sure, I'll break it. I'll break it down for him. I'll put, if we agree on whatever, I'll throw 20. But I mean, look, if Jayme was around here in Benton where his buddy is, I'd pick him up and we'd have steak dinner. I'd bring him to the house.
Are you going to give him a better rate than you'd give a normal carrier?
You know what? I would, just for the simple fact that we can say we did a load together. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would.
That's
Sorry,
good.
y'all. These gentlemen over in Pakistan, bless their hearts, are very persistent. My phone was blowing up. It's on that the one that hit me up on that load. They said they called 25 or 30 times and finally got somebody on the phone at LDI. They're trying to book me a load, and I done explained to them I don't use dispatchers. No.
Well, while you were gone, John says he's trying to book a load with you at some point. He'll give you an above average rate.
Well, I'm working on getting my my Kentucky numbers, and then I'll be up that direction, man. Just right now, I'm not a portion in Kentucky.
Now if he done a step deck, we do 12, 15 loads a week if he was on a step deck, because I got tons of Brinks trucks in Texas. That's a huge market. So
I got an extendable flatbed that extends out to 70 foot.
As long as it's got ramps, we can do it.
Yeah. No, it's high, man. That sucker sets high. You can't load with about 8 or 9 foot on that sucker, and it's very heavy. It weighs low. When I put that flatbed on my truck, it's like I put a reefer on it, so I can only scale about 44. But it extends out to 70, and if you get in an area like South Carolina where they got that long pipe that's 60 foot long, you can run it legal by stretching your trailers 56 and going 4 over the back and 3 over the front. It's got its good points and bad points.
Mm-hmm.
I run a lot of step. I run a lot of flatbed, man. I love step deck. I run step deck for some years. A low profile triaxial step with ramps and load levelers is the most versatile piece of equipment you can own. You find niches with that where you're working RGN freight, because brokers don't realize that they can load that loads that are going on that RGN trailer on them low pro steps. I was moving RVs on my low pro step, and they was paying me RGN rates. I'd back in and have a roll off truck come out and load it, the wrecked ones or whatever, and load it on that sucker and take off. And I made a lot of money doing that.
You just had somebody in the comments, Jayme, said they'd load your, we'll just put it up. Sam said they'd load your extension flat.
Send me a message, brother.
Yeah, I believe he's based out of Birmingham as well.
I got a truck heading over to, I booked a load that was going to Montgomery yesterday for Armstrong. Two picks here in Grand Prairie and Euless going over there, pretty good rate. And last night when it was load time, I got over there at 3 p.m. They were supposed to load me at 7. They had me drop my trailer. We was early. I got a team on the truck. And at about 8 o'clock, when it was supposed to load at 7, about 9 o'clock, they called me, the first load's been canceled. Can you go and get the second stop and go on? So do that. I pull into the second stop. Oh, well, that one's been canceled too. So they give me a $250 tonneau when I worked from 6:30 yesterday morning to 10 o'clock last night. So pretty sad.
That's
Yeah,
shitty.
that's not good. That's the thing about snow news. I mean, you can probably talk about this, Jayme, but sometimes you spend your whole day and you get $200.
Well, no, I didn't get nothing because my reefer sat there and run for about 7 or 8 hours. My truck sat there and idle to keep warm for the same 7 or 8 hours. That's a gallon. That's 2 gallons of diesel an hour. So you're looking at what, $7 an hour. So say eight times 7 is 56. 2 drivers on the truck. You take that 250 and it leaves about $175 split between 2 drivers for. What did I say? I started looking for a load yesterday morning at 5:30, and then had to get back on the load board at 10 last night. Looked at the load board till about 11, went to sleep, and I've been on the load board since 6 this morning. I'm not going to haul that cheap freight, man. I'm not
What are
going
you
to do it.
looking for per mile out of where you're at right now?
I need $3 a mile all miles, or I'm not going to move.
Now, when you say
I'll
all
say-
miles, you mean the deadhead miles to get from.
Yes, sir.
So that's all. That's something. I mean, obviously, you can't be right on top of every load, right? Especially if you're in a rural part of Texas, Arkansas, Kansas, what have you, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota. And I mean, and I don't. Just me, and I've had this argument a couple times. I'm like, look, I can, and I'll say, look, I mean, I can maybe meet you at the $3 a mile, but I'm not going to pay your deadhead because that's the cost of business. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, well, I don't deadhead for free because it costs me to deadhead. My fuel is 61 cents a mile.
No, I get it, but that's just the cost of doing business. So
So when I negotiate the rate, I've already got that calculated in. I'm not telling you. I'm not sitting there telling you, well, I need this for deadhead. No.
Yeah.
But when I give you my rate, I'll go like $200 over what I'll actually do it for, and then let them negotiate down. But if they won't come up to that, then I move on to the next one.
Yep.
You're never going to give me your best rate, and I'm never going to give you my lowest rate. That's for sure.
Now, what's the cost of sitting there too? Like if somebody called you up right now, you've been on the load board for all day, right? If somebody called you up with a 285 offer, would it make sense for you just to take it since you've been there?
It depends on the area. I work an average in and out. So if I'm going to Arkansas, I'll come down to $250 a mile, but out of Arkansas, I'm gonna get $4 to $5 a mile. If I'm going to Laredo, I may take $250 a mile going in, but I needed to average in and out after that $3 a mile.
A load from LDI to Kansas is more than $3 a mile, Dylan commented.
It's $17.50 from where I'm sitting, Roanoke to Kansas. It's 437 miles, so it's about $4 a mile.
Oh, decent rate.
I'll sit here until I get it. I mean, literally. If it's that bad, and if I get in the area and it's that bad before I'll load any of that cheap freight, I'll put this sucker in the wind and go to a better area and then sit there. Here's the way I look at it. So you've got your drive time, you've got your clock time, you have your load time and your unload time. So I need it to work out to minimum of $100 an hour every hour it takes off my clock. Okay. If I'm not able to turn $100 an hour, $7,000 a week, then I might as well go home and park and find something else to do. Because by the time I take my expenses out of there and I put something back for my company, then there's nothing left, any less. We average, I think that last year our profit margin at our company, not including our driving pay, we take 25% driver pay, just like the man next to me gets paid. When he goes solo, he'll get 25% of every dollar turned on the truck. I take the same thing. The rest of it stays in the company. So I think 3 to 4% is where our company was last year on the profit margin.
You definitely have a strategy with it, Jayme. I think you could teach a lot to other truck drivers. I don't think every truck driver, owner operator, I should say, has the same type of strategy. They all
a lot of them, Matt, don't even know their true operational costs. They have no clue. If they did have a clue of what it actually cost them to run and what they needed to put back for maintenance and for repairs, they wouldn't be taking this freight, bro.
What's the furthest that you've ever deadheaded to get to a better spot after sitting?
Oh, hell. Recently, 400 miles.
Yeah, maybe give us all time. Maybe give us all time and recently.
Well, I met a lady that worked railroad. She actually is the one that paid to put the pintle hitch on my truck. I got a pintle on my truck. My truck is set heavy. I got 13,000 3 steers and 20,000 pound a piece on my drives. So it's set heavy. She paid $3,500, $4,000 over in Tupelo, Mississippi to have the pintle hitch installed on my truck because she was doing railroad work. All right. We run drop and hook. I run some drop and hook for her under COVID. I would back in there with my reefer and drop my reefer at the rail yard, and she would pay me to deadhead there. So I went up to 800 miles to get the next load like that, and her paying me to do it. But she'll also pay me. She would also pay me to deadhead back to my trailer.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about a deadhead that you're not getting paid for? I mean, in that scenario, you're getting paid for it,
Well, it's not uncommon for us to leave Dallas and deadhead all the way to Laredo or McAllen, which is 450 miles. So that's not uncommon at all. I picked him up in San Antonio the other day, and we went to McAllen, so that was 450 miles. But I need
does it make sense to take a $2 load, or cheap load just to be able to, cover the fuel from that drive if it's an easy on, easy off type of load?
I get a lot better fuel mileage empty. Okay, so empty. My problem with taking the cheap freight is not the fuel. You're going to use more fuel because you're heavy. Stop and go. My problem with taking that cheap rate is the 4 hours to load and the 4 hours to unload. The 8 hours is going to burn off of my clock. 8 to 10 hours off of my clock trying to get the load on and off. It makes it to me where it's not worth it. It's better for me to just burn that 4 or 5 hours off my clock and deadhead than spend the extra 10 hours loading and unloading.
When you after you deadhead, do you take into account that deadhead when you talk about you need 3 miles? Would that count on all your miles?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I try to keep it. Don't always work. Sometimes I might fall 275. Sometimes I might make 350 a mile. But I need it to average, man. It's got to pay for the truck to move. And usually when you see me deadheading from Dallas to McAllen or Laredo is during peak produce season when they're paying $6, $7 a mile down there. At that point, it's not worth tying up your truck because they call layover Laredo for a reason. The valley, you get down there, you got a load going in, and the Mexican truck can't make it across to get the load. You know what? You're stuck there until the Mexican truck gets across the next day or the day after that. So if I'm going that direction, I'm damn sure not trying to load into or out of McAllen or Laredo. I'm trying to drop in San Antonio and then deadhead that 160 to 200 miles down there.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. Sure, it averages out if it doesn't happen all the time. Makes sense. I respect it. You've got something that you stick with and you're true to it.
What are you doing
John can tell you we was talking about a load the other day that I run for him. He pulled it up. I mean, I don't move cheap. What was that? 350 miles. I got $1,800 out of, John.
Yeah, but here's the thing you do, and you're smart about it. So you're that guy that will be okay not knowing what he's going to do next, right? But I think I think you're in the minority, and you said that best. You posted about this some time ago, where you'll watch a load that you want, and you'll see it for 1,000, and it'll go to 12, and it'll go to 15, it'll go 18, because obviously because the broker's getting desperate, right? And then you have leverage. Now you have the leverage, which is probably the best word in negotiation at that point, right? So when you're at that position, but you got to understand, like I've got freight because I'm traveling next week. I've got, well, I don't know, 15, 18 loads that are already pre-booked for next week. So all these carriers are dropping at US Foods. They're going over here. They're picking up mine. I mean, so but then what's going to happen with that is they're losing out. They could probably not take a load on Monday, not pre-book their truck, especially if it's a really good area, and then they wait, and then truck capacity dwindles. Then a customer calls in at 2 p.m. and says, "Holy shit, this has got to move today." Calls a broker and says, "Hey, this has got to move today," and most of the truck capacity is already booked loads in that market, and then there you're setting, and you jump on that higher rate. So, I mean, you're being smart about it, and unfortunately, and I don't hate to say this, but most people don't do that. Most people pre-book. I mean, I just booked a load today for a guy on Tuesday. He wants to go ahead and pre-book his trucks, and I think there's a lot of dispatchers out there that want to go ahead and get that truck set up all week, and
Let me
and
ask you
and
this,
they're
John.
and they're
So
losing money on that.
let me
Is that
ask
a
you
good
this,
decision
John.
from a broker though too? Like I used to book a lot of I had a lot of same day freight too, but even the ones I didn't, sometimes I'd wait till the same day because I was getting a better rate from the truck too. So I mean, I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, so it's a matter of timing, and when I was down in Daytona, I had a shipper that opened up on Saturday, and during the week I'd move that for 1,200 $1,300, and it's a lane I don't do very often. It's a load of salt, so I don't do it very often. So I went to the board. I posted that for Saturday because they loaded from 6 to noon. I got that buy for $900. So it can go both the broker's way, and it can also go to the shipper's way. And it's just all about timing on when you decide to post your loads.
Yeah. You catch a desperate truck trying to move down there in Florida or even South Georgia
Mm-hmm.
when it starts getting late in the day, or if you land there on a weekend. I'm the same way. If I know, like the other day, I was supposed to be up in Montgomery, so I called a broker. I pulled a load for last week. It wasn't a good load. It paid $2.20 a mile. It came back all the way from Chattanooga to Mount Pleasant. Okay, but I got 2,800 up there. You know what I mean? So I went up there for 28. I was coming back for 14. So it averaged out. The load coming back was a transfer load. Transfer loads I love transfer loads because they're on and off the truck. You pull in, you get loaded, you go to the next facility and you drop it. You're ready to go the next morning. Did have a team on the truck. We run it through, dropped it. I went home for the weekend. I got one guy that I've been working with a long time, Corey. Man, he's a good friend of mine. Man, we don't agree on everything neither, but we've been working for some years, a good while together, and he knows that I'm gonna take care of my business. But I got a load that we run out of Texas just about every week, Temple, Texas, and then picks in Dallas, and then goes straight across to Little Rock. He pays me $1,200 on it. It's 400 miles. But it puts me in that zone to where I'm going to get that $354 a mile coming back out. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The plan don't always work. I got stuck over in Mississippi, so every other week we load 2 PFG there in Little Rock, load out of the same door, and then go to Batesville. He pays me $1,000 on that one. It's 160 miles. It's hard to get out of Batesville. So last week or week before last, I got to Batesville. I couldn't find nothing. Okay, well, I done dropped $3,200 in one day. So 24 hours. So hey, I ain't worried about it. Next day I woke up, I looked around, couldn't find nothing, so I headed back to 160 miles of Little Rock. So it ended up 320 miles in the load for $1,000. I got back to Little Rock and there wasn't nothing, man. I'm like, what the hell? There wasn't nothing in Arkansas, dude. I ended up deadheading all the way from Little Rock all the way back home because I wouldn't take a $1.52 mile load. I went all the way back to Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's been another great episode. We always enjoy having you guys on. We'll have to shoot for making this a semi-regular thing, which it kind of already is. But I know that the audience enjoys having you guys on at the same time. Always makes for some good conversation. So we appreciate you guys spending your time with us this afternoon and coming on.
Yeah,
I'm getting that steak pretty quick, John. Just so you know.
buddy. Whenever you're more than welcome. And if it's during the summertime, you can swim. You can swim in the kids with the pool, and I'll find a pair of swimming trunks that fit you.
Well, you got the what it was, a Koi River right there, don't you?
A Coe, yeah, Coe's right
Koi,
behind
yeah,
me. I'm about 5 minutes right behind me, and I can be at any of the whitewater rafting places. It's just
yeah.
right behind me,
I
and
made the mistake and cut up through there one time loaded, and never again.
yeah, there's some bad road, and But I got to go pick up my Cybertruck, so this is actually pretty good timing for me as well.
Good deal. All right. Well,
Okay,
thanks,
cool,
Jimmy.
man.
Hey, guys.
Take care. God bless everybody.
Well, shout out to our sponsors again. Multi-Service Fuel Card, been around since 1978. They got some new things launching. Check out their page. Black Box, Will's company, HD Ships, where I recruit agents for. Load Based. Go check out Stan's post. Customer testimonial, tracking service. Really kind of a unique tracking service. Will's demoed it. Great product. Sales Dash goes without saying. Josh has been a co-host here when Will was out. Great product. Freight specific CRM. And then we're brought to you by Taft's Top 10 Factoring Company. Great customer service. Reach out to Ryan and Rob. Kansas City based, great company. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah, awesome. Enjoyed it. Yeah, always good having those guys on. I got to run. People are peeking around my door. We let them go at 4. So, yeah, we'll be back at next week. Stay tuned to the page for Dog of the Week and some announcements.
Sounds good. See
All
ya.
right.